Hey there guys, happy Monday. As you may be able to tell from, the title of this video, this is a haul. And it is a massive, massive haul, so it's gonna be a really quick one. It is a haul of 16 books. What makes it so impressive, you ask? They're all for school. Now, I wouldn't be doing this haul if I didn't think that they were really, really cool, and I do think that you'll find some of them interesting, and also a bunch of them are gonna pop up on the blog. So, I'm gonna run through this really, really fast, and maybe you'll see some interesting things, especially if you are into 1, short stories and or fantasy, 2, memoirs, specifically dealing with religion, and 3, crazy philosophical things about what it means to be an individual. Those are gonna go last. Fantasy's gonna go first. That sounds like the best order. So like I said, some of these books are fantasy. Why, you ask? Because this class is called Writing Fantasy and Science Fiction. I have been excited to take this class since I was a freshman here at Ithaca College, and it has not disappointed thus far. In fact, the first book that I'm going to talk about is the After Anthology, 19 YA Stories of Apocalypse and Dystopia, edited by Ellen Datlow and Terry Windling. And if this seems familiar, it's because Taylor and I have already done a joint review of this book on the blog, and because we're both in that class. So I'm not going to say too much about this because, again, that review already exists and you should totally go watch it, and it's really, really interesting and fun. For yet another short story anthology, there is the Mermaids and Other Mysteries of the Deep anthology, edited by Paula Guran, if I hope that's how you say her last name. This is an anthology that I'm currently reading, and there's over 20 stories in here about mermaids and plenty of other mythologies, because mermaid mythology is really, really rich and deep. So there's like science-y stories in here, there's other countries' mermaid myths in here, and really good contributors like Catherine M. Valente and Neil Gaiman. Like I said, I'm currently reading this one for class, and Taylor and I have a review of this planned for you guys in the coming weeks, so look forward to that. And for another collection of short stories, if you are fairy tale lovers, we are using for this class the anthology My Mother, She Killed Me, My Father, She Ate Me. This is 40 separate retellings of fairy tales and it's edited by, I'm gonna have to look at this because I'm not actually sure, edited by Kate Bernheimer. And there are a lot of people in here doing fairy tale retellings that I would never have expected. So there's people like, Neil Gaiman and Kelly Link, which I'm sure Taylor will love to talk about when we might do a review of this book, not sure. But there's also like Joyce Carol Oates and Amy Bender. So I think that it's going to be really good, and I'm really excited because I really do love fairy tales. There's 40 new fairy tales in here, so I'm super excited. I can't wait to get my hands on it, and I'll be reading this in the coming weeks as well, so you may be able to look forward to a review of that from Taylor and I, or at least just me. I will definitely be reviewing it best I can with all 40 of them. So the next 2 books are not short story anthologies, but they're really cute. And the first one is A Natural History of Dragons and Unicorns. And this is a really cute, thin book by Paul and Karen Jonsgaard. And it claims to be, and I have to read this off the back, a charming and carefully researched book that presents the first scientific look at 2 of the Earth's most mysterious and elusive creatures. So pretending that dragons and unicorns are real, and like facts about them and everything. So it looks really cute. It's also very thin, which is really exciting. Class books. But yeah, excited to read this for class. I may or may not review it because it is so short and it's not really like a novel, but I'm sure you'll see some Goodreads updates from me about that. And then because this is a writing class, there is that one writing textbook that always ends up on the list, and we are using Ursula K. Le Guin's Steering the Craft, a 21st Century Guide to Sailing the Sea of Story. And I have not actually heard of this particular book before, but Ursula K. Le Guin is like the scion of fantasy writing, and so I'm really excited to read what she has to say about the genre, because it is my favorite genre to write in. So I'm moving on to my second class now, and this is my honor seminar. It's called Spiritual Journeys. So this seminar is all about looking into religion from a purely historical angle. And so a bunch of these are literal memoirs of people and their exploration into certain religions. So if you are into memoir, hang tight. If you're not, I'm going to blow through these really fast because I have a lot of them. So here we go. If you saw Michaela and I's weekly wrap-up, you may have seen Choosing My Religion, a memoir of family beyond belief by Stephen J. Dubner. And this is a memoir about a man whose family is very, very Christian, but as he grows up, he finds out that his parents were actually Jewish and then they converted. And he's trying to figure out why they converted, but also finding his way back to his Jewish roots and his Jewish faith, because now he's Jewish. I've already finished this one. It was not the best. I will probably review it on my blog just because I'm very interested in talking about it and reading as a writer versus a reader. So look for that sometime in the future. It's not going to be a high priority, obviously, but there you are. So another one that we are reading is called Monique and the Mango Rains, 2 Years with a Midwife in Mali by Chris Holloway. I think this is actually the next book that we're reading, so I'm really excited about that. It's also very thin, which is super nice. So obviously, as the subtitle says, it's a person who spends time with people in West Africa and their religions. So I'm definitely excited to read this one. Not sure if you'll see a review on it, but if you follow me on Goodreads, you will see my updates on that. So when I was a kid, I was really into ancient history for Japan, China, and India, among some others, and so I'm really excited that we are reading 9 Lives in Search of the Sacred in Modern India by William Dalrymple, maybe is how you say his last name. It's a look into all of the religions that are in India, like Hinduism and Jainism and Buddhism, but in the modern context. So really thinking about what these ancient religions mean in modern day, which is exciting to me on multiple levels. So again, follow me on Goodreads if you want to see what that ends up being, and maybe a review on the blog. I also love learning about religions that I don't know that much about, and I am not ashamed to say that I don't know a lot about Islam, so I'm really excited that we are also reading If the Oceans Were Ink, An Unlikely Friendship and Journey into the Heart of the Quran by Carla Power. Obviously, this is a book about investigating the Quran from someone who doesn't really know that much about Islam. And so, again, really exciting stuff, and I love this class a lot, so I know that even if I don't get enough out of the book to satisfy my curiosity, that we will definitely be talking about that in my class. Like I just said, ancient China was a huge, huge fascination of mine. I was gonna say as a kid, but still is. So this cute little book is Watching the Tree, A Chinese Daughter Reflects on Happiness, Tradition, and Spiritual Wisdom by Adeline Yen Ma. It's like this little cute hardcover about, you know, Chinese religions in the modern day as well. So again, all of my favorite things wrapped in a cute little neat package. We are also reading Faithiest, How an Atheist Found Common Ground with a Religious by Chris Stedman. This is fascinating to me because I do identify as agnostic currently, and so while this is atheism and agnosticism is not the same thing, there's definite definition break there that causes me to say agnostic rather than atheist. I am really excited because it's talking about how atheism and atheists can interact with people who do believe in God or gods. So that is a really important kind of dialogue that I think that we should be having more of, and this is a book about that. Finally, for this class, there is The Art of Stillness, Adventures in Going Nowhere by Pico Iyer. This is actually a TED Talk, so if you are interested at all in this cute little book right here, so definitely look that up. I'm not honestly sure exactly what this is about. The back cover of this is not very helpful, but it's very, very cute, and we're reading it for like the last day of class, so I'm sure by the time I get through this class, this will mean more to me in our discussion about spiritual journeys and religion. I'm going to run through the last 4 books really, really fast because I'm not entirely sure you will find them very interesting, but here we go. This is from my Writing Senior Seminar, which is all about the rise and fall of the individual self, and what individuality means to our culture, both good and bad. The book that we read from first is Inventing Human Rights by Lynn Hunt. We read the first couple chapters of this, which basically we're talking about how human rights came out of people, well, from a lot of things, but she credits a lot of stuff to epistolary novels and giving people empathy. And then she also talks about how like torture used to be such a really common thing and how that was slowly phased out and why. Obviously, I haven't read the whole book, but those couple of chapters were very, very interesting. Currently, the class is involved in reading Curse of the Self, Self-Awareness, Egotism, and Quality of Human Life. What we've read so far has basically been about how people tend to like have egos, and you know, the self means that we, you know, shoot people down while building ourselves up. I have 3 more chapters of this to read for Monday. I'm not exactly thrilled. The writing isn't fabulous. It's by Mark Leary is the author. But if that interests you at all, this is what it looks like. One thing that I am super interested in reading is this book, which is Thoughts Without a Thinker, Psychotherapy from a Buddhist Perspective by Mark Epstein, who is an MD. If you just saw, I'm very interested in learning about like religions. So this involves Buddhism, and I don't even know how this is going to go, but I'm very interested in seeing how he combines science with Buddhism, and then talking about it, you know, in class. And last but not least, we are reading Poetry as Survival by Gregory Orr. This is like kind of the capstone for my professor, and talking about how poetry can be used for an individual mean of survival and like processing your life, which is very dear to me because that is how I think about writing a lot of the time. So we read this towards the end of the semester, if you're interested in that at all. Again, Goodreads will be following it. Probably, definitely won't see any of the 4 books I just mentioned on my blog. Well, that was fun and fast and ridiculous. I really didn't even realize I had that many of them, but I hope that you enjoyed seeing all of the money I have spent on books this year. I mean, all of the books I've bought this year. And maybe you've seen something interesting. If you've read any of these, let me know down in the comments, especially some of the weirder ones. I'd love to know some people's thoughts on those, but otherwise look forward to potentially some reviews coming out of this, or definitely some really, really aggravated Goodreads updates. Thanks guys, bye!